She was born beneath acid rain and broken satellites, in what was once called Lagos, Earth. The planet was fractured then, divided by economic collapse, rising seas, and orbital debris so dense the sun came filtered in red streaks. Her mother called her Amara, meaning grace, though the world she entered had little of it left. From the beginning, she was noticed. Not because of her beauty, though that would come, but because of her gaze. She stared into cameras, into mirrors, into the eyes of adults, and never blinked first. As a child, she built gravity rigs from scrap. As a teen, she hacked into satellite feeds to beam poetry into off-world trade channels. She wrote in 3 languages by 12 and could silence a crowd by 15. But what truly marked her was how others reacted. Scientists, soldiers, scavengers, they all paused in her presence. Earth was dying when Amara came of age. The corporations had left. The alliances had failed. Refugee states carved cities from ruins.
Yet amid the chaos, she thrived.
Not because she fought the world, but because she refused to submit to its limitations. She spoke like someone who had seen the future and did not care for it. By 20, she had joined a lunar research mission. By 25, she had written the thesis that would shift the course of galactic diplomacy, The Tyranny of Design, a human perspective on alien hierarchies. It spread like wildfire across rebel networks and imperial think tanks alike.
Her face became a symbol. Her voice, a weapon.
It was then that the galaxy truly saw her. The High Accord, an interstellar governing body spanning 3 arms of the Milky Way, invited her to speak. They expected gratitude,
humility,
perhaps a speech on Earth's resilience. Instead, Amara stood beneath the banners of 100 worlds, looked the galaxy in the eye and said, "You mistake silence for peace. You mistake order for harmony. You mistake compliance for consent. I am not here to fit into your hierarchy. I am here to remind you that the stars do not belong to you." She left the stage to thunderous silence. And that silence turned to unrest. Because her words didn't just challenge empires, they unraveled them. Across core systems, oppressed races and ignored colonies began quoting her. Students painted her likeness on orbital stations. Pirate queens broadcast her speeches before raids. Dissidents used her name like a key code to rally the underground. At first, the High Accord tried to absorb her. They offered her positions, councils, advisory roles. She declined every one. Then they tried to smear her. They called her a radical, a manipulator, a symptom of Earth's primitive chaos. They circulated doctored images and half-truths. It backfired. Each attack made her more mythic, more dangerous. She didn't fight back with weapons. She responded with questions. If I am the threat, what does that say about the peace you built? Eventually, they tried to kill her. On Vega 9, her ship was sabotaged. It exploded on descent. For 17 hours, the galaxy believed she was dead. And then, she walked out of the fire. Her body covered in ash. Her eyes blazing. The local villagers said she had emerged from the crater like a goddess, limping but alive, dragging 3 injured crew members behind her. They named the mountain after her. She vanished after that. For 2 years, the galaxy saw only her impact. Trade unions organized in her name. A wave of planetary secessions hit the High Accord. A rogue AI collective adopted her speeches as holy scripture. A mining moon declared independence and etched her name into its surface with orbital drills, AMARA. When she returned, she no longer walked alone. She had gathered a council, not of warriors, but of thinkers. A blind Kartari prophet, a child programmer from the Skell Ranges, a defector from the Accord's inner circle. Together, they launched the Starseed Doctrine, a declaration of planetary autonomy and cultural restoration, supported by hundreds of newly freed systems. The Accord called it a rebellion. Amara called it a reintroduction to dignity.
It wasn't war. Not at first. But it felt like it.
Supply routes dried up. Mutinies broke out. Accord delegates were refused entry to old colonies. Secret transmissions filled with her voice disrupted public broadcasts. Then the first weapon came, not from her, but from a defecting Accord scientist who had heard one of her speeches. He had created a fleet of AI-controlled, self-replicating drone ships. Instead of attacking, they hovered above Accord capitals, projecting Amara's face and looping her speech from Eridan Prime. "I did not come to destroy your civilization. I came to remind you of your humanity. You lost it somewhere between conquest and comfort."
And then came the fall.
6 Accord core planets declared neutrality. 3 high generals defected and released files revealing centuries of political manipulation, species-based suppression, and cultural erasure, all sanctioned by the Accord Council. The final straw was when Amara herself stepped onto the Accord's capital world, unarmed, wearing the same ash-gray robe she'd worn since Vega 9. The council demanded she surrender. She replied, "I have nothing to surrender. I am not your enemy. I am the mirror." What happened next was chaos. The people rose, not for Amara but with her. Council towers were stormed. Archives unlocked. Entire fleets refused to fire on their own citizens. Accord-controlled AI units self-deleted when confronted with her starseed logic code. She never issued an order. Never called for blood. Her refusal to kneel was enough. In the aftermath, the Accord collapsed. Its fragments scattered, some forming new federations, others devolving into infighting.
And Amara?
She refused to rule. She turned down every throne offered. She declined every seat at every newly formed parliament.
Instead, she built schools.
Mobile universities. Floating platforms of free knowledge that traveled from system to system. Places where history was remembered correctly, where culture was rebuilt, not assimilated. Some say she disappeared again. That she walks unnamed among the stars. Others say she died long ago and her appearances are performed by protean mimics or hyper-realistic AI. But the people who were changed by her don't care. Because she wasn't just a woman. She was legacy. Her name is forbidden in some former Accord systems, punishable by exile. In others, children are named after her by the thousands. Her speeches are taught in philosophy programs and boot camp war rooms alike. And across hundreds of star systems, there are planets, moons, stations, and fleets that bear a single name, sometimes whispered, sometimes etched in iron, sometimes sung under breath.
Amara.
The name that means grace. The name that brought empires to their knees. The name that made stars tremble.